Today we've got a new battery here to open up from Renogy. This is the Pro S1 240 amp hour battery. There's a lot of cool things that excited me about this battery, specifically that it is a type of solid state battery, so one of the first on the market. But once I started to dive in and learn more, there's a lot of cool stuff about this battery that we're gonna open up and share with you guys today.
All right, so getting right into it, Brendan is going to be opening the package for us, and I can tell you a bit about how this battery came about. So when we were in the hunt for the best solar panel, so we reached out to Renogy, and that's when we tested out their shadow flux panels. We built up that relationship to where they wanted to send us this product for us to test and get our opinions. So this is an entirely new for us to be testing out any sort of solid state battery. So we're super interested to see how this looks like. But at this point in time, we're not really looking for a new battery. So our thoughts on this battery is going to be somewhat implied if we were to use it for our system, but we're not looking to use this for our system as of right now.
I will say Renogy's been a super cool brand to work with, that they're very open and sharing whatever we feel about the product, and they don't force us to say anything. So we were like, hey, that sounds like a great opportunity to check out something new, something emerging on the market, and see what it's like and give our honest feedback.
So with this battery, something that's so interesting is the semi-solid state. So kind of what Brendan was mentioning about the transparency of Renogy. It's quite interesting that for solid state, which essentially what solid state means, that the battery has no liquid electrolytes, and the liquid electrolytes are what is the flammable part of a battery. So with this battery, this has 70% less liquid electrolytes. And Renogy seems very transparent on their website of mentioning that this is semi-solid state, not entirely solid state. Personally, I'm a huge fan, from what I know of solid state batteries, of just how much denser the battery can be, how much more capacity you can fit in a smaller space. I think that is super, super cool. But we got this box open, so let's get into it.
So in the package, you get the user manual, which I will flip through. You get, oh, these are actually brackets to mount the battery. We can get more into that later, but they provide these brackets so that you can affix it to whatever you're mounting it to, and so that way it doesn't vibrate and shake around down the road. Actually, the last battery that we installed, we put in our storage compartment in our RV, and we got so many comments of people like, you need to strap that down, you need to get it to a place that it doesn't move. So it's really cool that they include that. And then as well as some battery post terminals and the actual battery itself. So I guess I'll just take it out here and see what we're dealing with. And first impressions, this thing is a serious brick. Just not having any handles, it was a little bit hard to get out of the box. But I like the form factor so far. It doesn't feel like overly intimidating. I believe this is about 56 pounds. We can verify that. This battery that we got is 240 amp hour. They also make a 120 amp hour version, so this one's just double the capacity. We were more interested in the larger size battery, but these are the two options they offer for this type of battery. So, first impressions, this is the first battery I have seen that has a little cutout for its terminal posts like this. Most batteries have them on top. And I didn't see it specifically advertised, but I imagine this enables you to stack the batteries if you want to, because you could stack two of these on top of each other and still leave a small gap for the post. I don't know if that's accurate, but that seems like a cool implementation of what you could do with this cutout here. And I know I mentioned there was no handles. There's no handles on the top of the battery to get it out of the box, but there are little cutouts in the side of the bottom of the battery to help you pick it up and lift around. I wouldn't say it's overly intimidating. It actually does feel like a pretty good size to move around and carry. I wouldn't want to be carrying it long distances, but let's try the Gabby test to see how she feels when she picks it up.
Gabby test. Oh my God, that's heavier than I would have thought. I mean, I can definitely pick it up, but it was just a lot more than I was expecting. And with the hand undercuts that you were saying, I wasn't expecting, but like that's as far as they go. They only go in like an inch and then you can grab. So you're really grabbing with your bare fingertips. I would feel much better if I could grab like up to my palm. But this is not the type of battery that you're gonna be carrying around anyway. It's more so just like a one-time install for for your needs. So let's get into the rest of how this thing's built. All right, so getting into this battery, aside from the weight, getting into some other first impressions is that this thing just has the appearance of being overbuilt. And I feel like that is just a theme for this battery, is the focus on safety overall and the quality of materials. So an example of that is just to the touch. This is like a metal outer coating that's powder coated. Any other battery that we've ever worked with is just a plastic outside. So this absolutely has a premium feel. The same thing with the battery terminals, just everything looks so overbuilt and heavy duty on this thing. So I was telling Brendan that comparing this battery to our Lifetime battery that we just installed, the Lifetime battery seems like it was either this size or smaller, and that's 320 amp hours. This battery is 240 amp hours. So this is not the type of battery that you get for its energy density. And I know that's what I said at the very beginning, that solid state excites me for the energy density purpose, but this being semi-solid state, it's really just overbuilt with safety at its core. We'll get into some of how it's actually built inside, but also wanted to highlight, even on the sides, just kind of like some premium offerings that this thing has, is it has these cables here for essentially communication cables. So it has both sides here that I don't think I've ever seen any battery that we've used have anything like this. All of our other batteries are just Bluetooth and connect that way.
And then it also has this Bluetooth antenna on the side, which I'm excited to test because that's going to give you a longer Bluetooth range than a standard battery that you get.
And then as we're shuffling through this stuff, I thought it was super neat that with these brackets that Brendan highlighted, I thought they were just kind of like right angle wall brackets that the battery just fit in between, but this actually goes directly onto the battery. So if you look here, you have your 4 screw holes that you would put this to and then mount it directly down. And it looks like they only exist on the edges. So it's pretty neat. I've never had a battery that comes with mounting hardware like that. And these brackets feel nice. Like if we're not to use these brackets for the battery, I could see holding on to them.
Okay, while I was flipping through these instructions to get the Bluetooth app downloaded, I thought it was even funny to worth calling out that even these pages of the instruction book are like pretty high quality, all like colored photo images. It's the best instruction manual that I think we've gotten for a solar or battery product. Okay, so while I'm getting the app downloaded and we'll get the battery connected, I want to take some time and share about some of the safety features involved with this battery, because this is really the main reason why you would purchase this battery. So overall, setting the stage, we found from a report since 1995, there's been over 16,000 lithium-ion battery incidents reported. So that could be a fire, that could be an explosion. There's definitely people that have had concerns about putting lithium batteries, especially when talking about RVs, putting it inside of your home and any danger that they might bring. We have not personally had any issues ourselves, but definitely something that people have made us aware of. And because of that, Renogy has taken the liberty on this battery to make this as safe as they possibly could, constructing it from the ground up based on safety. So one of the things right off the bat that Gabby mentioned, it is an all metal casing, and that's just gonna help protect the outside of the battery. It is completely sealed on the inside. So it actually has an IP67 water and dust rating, which means you could actually submerge this battery in a meter of water for up to 30 minutes and it should be okay. That is super impressive, especially if you want to mount a battery in like an external condition, if you want to put it in an outdoor storage compartment in an RV or put it on a boat. Like just having the peace of mind that it's not going to get damaged from water is huge. In addition to that, on the internals of the battery, most batteries actually divide their cells on the inside and space them apart with foam. Now this one actually has metal bracing inside of the battery, which is not going to degrade over time. And that's what causes issues when you have like battery fires or issues with explosions, is when the cells inside start to vibrate and shake around. Then connections inside can get loose, you can get thermal runaway and the battery heating up, and that's what leads to issues. So everything from the ground up, everything is not going to be moving in this battery. It's going to remain stationary, especially with the feet when you screw it in using the mounting points. This thing is going to be a one-time install, not move around at all, and hopefully not give you any issues. A couple of other things that I thought were really cool when doing research for the battery is actually the terminal posts themselves are a nickel-plated brass. So most connections are just brass. The nickel plating on them is going to give it increased corrosion resistance. So if you're near salt water like we are, or if you just have salty conditions, that's going to be resistant to rust. And then the wiring that they use inside of the battery, the industry standard for this type of battery is to use 8-gauge wiring, and Renogy actually ups that to a 7-gauge wire to decrease the overall heat that's produced inside of the battery, which again is a safety feature that just limits the amount of temperature that's inside of here. The BMS inside of this battery also monitors for 60 overall protections, which this isn't totally unique to this battery, but a lot of things will monitor for maybe up to 10 different protections, and this one has way more things that it's monitoring for. So if anything ever does go wrong, it can either alert you via the app or actually shut itself down if it's an issue that's severe enough.
And a few other things to mention with this battery is that yes, it does have self-heating, and it claims that the self-heating is 70% faster than other brands. So for us, once again in Florida, we don't really use self-heating too much, but if you're a big winter camper, I could see having quick self-heating being a super, super nice feature to have. Also, this battery does have a 7-year warranty, which is always something that we look for when shopping around for new solar or battery tech type products, is understanding what sort of warranty that you're getting from a reputable company. And then lastly is the Bluetooth range that Brendan mentioned earlier with that little antenna. It's supposed to be a great Bluetooth range of up to 30 meters, which sounds insane. With our current battery that we just installed with Lifetime, that range, I don't know the exact range on it, but from our own real world testing, I would say that we get maybe 15 to 20 feet. So 5 to maybe 10 meters would be going high. So to triple that potentially is something that we definitely have to test out. All right, so we just got the app downloaded, and initial thoughts on looking at this app is that the UI is pretty good. I wouldn't say the UI is as nice of what I've seen from Ecoflow. I will say I think Ecoflow still has the best user experience when it comes to an app, but is it better than Lifetime? Initial thoughts? Yeah, a Lifetime is not something that we're like super impressed with the app, but we're just not asking for a whole lot out of an app for a battery that we have just kind of completely stationary. So with this, I think it does look nice. This battery got shipped to us, we can see, with 48.1% charge. And something that's interesting here too is that the maximum capacity here shows it's 245 amp hours, to where this battery is rated for 240. So I guess they give you an extra 5 amp hours here. Remaining time, it shows is no hours because we don't have any sort of draw on this battery yet. We can see the heating mode status, so this would turn on automatically when detected. And then also, kind of nice, has a cell status at the bottom. Our current battery, the Lifetime, does not have that. So I think that is actually like pretty cool to have. But what we're gonna test here is taking a look at the Bluetooth range. So let me put this to where maybe there's not obstructions of the RV to get the most fair test, and then I'll start walking away and we'll measure that distance. Yeah, that's a bit heavy. Okay, so I went ahead, carried out the battery to in front of our RV, because right behind me, we have pretty much an entire straight away with no obstructions that I can just keep walking for, yeah, I would say probably about 100 feet. So that's just about our 30 meters. So let me get the app here pulled up and I'll start walking away and see if we lose connection. All right, I'm recording the screen on the phone so that way we can all see together when I lose connection. I'm at the battery now. Let's start walking. Okay. At this point, we would probably lose Bluetooth connection with our current battery. Still connected, still see the percentage with this battery are 48.1%. If anyone's watching me, they probably think I'm crazy. Keep going. Let me just back out, click, make sure I'm still getting that, which I am. This is starting to look quite far. I don't even know if you guys can still see me on that camera. I'm still getting connection. This is gonna turn quite ridiculous if I have to go and pass the road. Ooh, I feel like that lagged a little there. Ha! Okay, disconnected. We just got our disconnected notification, and I'm right here at the entrance. So we don't have a tape measure that is that long. So what I'm gonna have Brendan do is do some quick measurement via satellite, because I know the spot that we lost connection at. So then that way we can get an estimate on how long our range was. But honestly, without even knowing that range yet, I am so impressed by that Bluetooth range. Got my big guy to carry the battery back for me.
That finger strength.
It's crazy. It's like, you gotta be a climber. So Brendan just did the measurements via satellite, and I cannot believe how bad I am at estimating distance, because the spot that it gave out was 182 feet. 55 meters. I was like, oh yeah, this is 100 feet. So almost double what I initially thought. So the performance on the Bluetooth, that is awesome. Of course, that test had 0 obstructions, and probably anywhere you're gonna mount a battery is gonna have some sort of obstruction if you built a box around it, if it's a car seat, if it's a storage door. So of course, that is probably gonna negate those results of how far of Bluetooth you do have. But with that test, I was super happy with the results.
So overall, I think we're both pretty impressed with this battery. Of course, it's not going to be for everyone. Like, if you're looking for as cheap as possible, as small of a battery as you can get, this is not the answer. But if you're looking for like overall best protection, the safest battery you can get, really good upgraded features, this is an awesome option.
Right, and the price also does reflect that. As you're saying, the cheapest as possible, this is not it. So this battery normally retails for $1,069. So it's definitely up there when you look at other options, but honestly, there's not many other batteries that compare to how this one is built. This one's actually on sale right now for, I think, the month of March. It's 19% off, so that brings the price to $869, which I think this battery should be priced at sub 1,000. What Brendan's saying of like who it's for, like, we're still definitely happy with our selection. We're not gonna be switching over to this battery just really because of the energy density perspective on it. Otherwise than that, if this could match the energy density of what we would have, I think that we would have this battery in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it is really cool to see kind of on the other spectrum of things what you can get for a higher price and all the build quality and safety features. I really like that, and I think there's definitely a demographic of people for this.
Also, I mean, with Renogy, I can just appreciate like a credible brand just kind of like pushing the envelope and just raising the bar when it comes to safety and quality, because there is a lot of battery skeptics out there because of things that are made that just aren't safe. So from that aspect, I can really appreciate this build. All right, guys, that is gonna do it for our first impressions and initial review of this battery. If you have any questions, please do drop those in the comment section down below. And we're happy to continue reviewing whatever else comes our way. So guys, we will catch you next week.